Hello and welcome to this little book reading session. I have here the newest book from Ben Shapiro. Not available yet, but soon. It's called Triumph of the Patriot. And I have to say, what I have read so far, it is amazing. I got the okay from Ben Shapiro to read some excerpts, maybe even more, maybe some entire chapters. I also asked the publisher. They also okayed it. So yeah, as long as I don't monetize this video. So yeah, that is okay. And yeah, we're gonna review it a little bit. A little bit of context. It is about this patriot who is struggling in America because the leftists took over. And well, as you can expect, the entire country fell into a dystopian future like 1984, and we're going to follow the protagonist through his struggles in daily life. Okay, let's get started. I'm excited. Are you? Triumph of the Patriot by Ben Shapiro. First chapter, The Patriot. The Patriot was a bear of a man. He measured 6'4" in height and 222 pounds in mass. Everyone who saw him thought that he was a really big, manly man. He was a former Navy SEAL Marine Iraq veteran. After his military service, he spent several years as a border control officer, and after that, he migrated to the police force. Even though he had so much life experience, he was still quite young with his 24 years of age and was fairly good looking with his short hair military haircut. On his arms and front and back of his jacket, there were the emblems of freedom in shape of the American flag sewn into his jacket. He was walking down a street reminiscing about what had happened the last several weeks. He has been a police officer for 8 years in this town. Unfortunately, that ended several weeks ago. Leaked footage surfaced, in which the Patriot claimed that if black people did not want to get shot by the police, maybe they should not commit so many crimes, which was true. The woke mob, however, demanded his cancellation. Unfortunately, after the pressure of the left mainstream media, combined with the pressure from the woke mob and Democratic politicians, the police chief caved in and cancelled the Patriot. An officer less that kept the town from falling into a madness-induced chaos agitated by the left. After his cancellation, the Patriot could no longer do what he liked to do best, policing. But couldn't he thought? Maybe the ordinary way to protect his country was not the right way for him. As a police officer, he was working for the government and was beholden to people who were holding him back. With the government on his back, he could not bring true justice to criminals anyway. Too much bureaucracy, too many regulations, and worst of all, too many woke liberals who were telling him what he could and couldn't do. Maybe it was better that way, not to be a slave to the government, but a free roaming protector of America. He believed in individual freedom and personal responsibility, and he was ready to use his freedom to take responsibility. He decided that he did not need an officer's badge to protect law and order. All he needed was his determination to uphold Judeo-Christian values and a gun. With a gun in the holster around his chest, the Patriot was walking down the street. He was on patrol again. His first one since his cancellation. It felt different but familiar. Walking around in civil clothing, he was trying to emanate the same authority when he had still worn his police uniform. However, the behavior of the people that walked by him was definitely different from before. They did not have this fear in their eyes when they first recognized that a police officer was approaching, and they also did not try to evade eye contact with him like it was when he wore the uniform. It was interesting seeing people behave when they did not realize that a police officer was watching them. Unfortunately, none of them were showing any kind of criminal intent. Not yet. Slowly the night took over and darkness befell the town. It was one of those nights that were darker than all of the others, a night that promised you nothing, yet made everything possible. The streets emptied. Only the Patriot had no intent of leaving, because he was on a mission, searching for and hunting down crime. Suddenly he smelled the sweet scent of illegal criminality. He followed the smell and saw a gleaming little red dot floating in the darkness. He knew what it was. It was one of those marijuana cigarettes that he had seen so many drug addicts smoking. Someone had to smoke this right now, but due to the darkness, he could not see who. The leftist state government was currently discussing the legalization of marijuana. On a federal level, marijuana was already legal, but the Patriot did not believe in federal law, but individual states' rights. And right now, it was still illegal in this state to smoke the weed. That meant that right in front of him was a dangerous criminal who did not respect the law. He closed in with his hand on his gun. He always carried a gun with him, even though after his cancellation his permission to carry a gun was revoked. Unauthorized concealed carry of handguns was outlawed by the leftist government in this state, but he did not care. Those were just unconstitutional regulations put into place by weaker men than him. He strongly believed in individual rights, and the man had the right to defend himself, his country, and most of all, law and order. As such, a man was not only entitled to carry a gun, but it was his obligation in order to protect America. As he closed in, he realized why he wasn't able to see the person that smoked the weed in the darkness. The person was black. Not one of those normal blacks with a little bit of blackness, but one of those whose skin was entirely dark. The only thing that he could make out in the abundance of darkness was the glow of the marijuana cigarette and the white in the black person's eyes. He immediately drew his gun on the criminal. "Put that doobie down," he shouted through and at the dark. "F-word off, big honky," a deep voice of a black man replied obscenely. The Patriot had a problem, because in this darkness he could not see the hands of the black man, whilst he was sure that the black man could see him. He had his eyes fixed on the gleaming light of the marijuana cigarette. As long as it stayed on level of the man's eyes, he at least knew that the man's one hand was not reaching for a gun. However, should the red dot in the air move downwards, the Patriot had to assume that the black criminal was reaching for a gun and had to pull his own trigger. As for the black man's second hand, he did not know what that one was doing. The hand could have already been reaching for a gun, or a gun was already pointing at him. He did not know. The Patriot knew that he risked his life in this moment, but he had to protect the law. He only knew one thing. Right now, in this moment, he was the last bastion between order and chaos. "Identify yourself," the Patriot shouted. "Identify yourself first," the black voice replied with an arrogant and demanding tone. "My name is Officer Patrick P. Patriot. I am a police officer, and you are under arrest," the Patriot named Patrick P. Patriot said. "For what?" the black voice asked. "For smoking the weed," Patrick P. Patriot replied. "What I'm smoking is none of your business." The arrogant tone continued and made Patrick P. Patriot angry, but due to his police training, he had himself under control. "It is illegal, against the law," Patrick P. Patriot shouted. "That's a menthol cigarette, you retard," the black voice disrespectfully replied. That was it. Patrick P. Patriot could tolerate a lot of things. Blacks disrespecting the law, blacks disrespecting the flag and the anthem, blacks disrespecting the white man, but the only thing he could not tolerate was when blacks disrespected his authority. "Get on the ground," he shouted at the dark. "F-word you, big honky," the black voice replied obscenely. Patrick P. Patriot saw how the gleaming dot moved slowly downwards. That was it. The situation had escalated because that criminal did not comply. Patrick P. Patriot was now fully within his legal rights to assume that his life was under threat, because the criminal might have maybe been reaching for his gun. Patrick P. Patriot unloaded his entire magazine into the darkness in front of him. He had to. Since he couldn't see the frame of the black criminal in the darkness, he had to make sure that the threat was actually completely neutralized. He reloaded his gun and fired the second magazine empty. His third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth magazine he was carrying with him he saved for later, because he did not know what other dangers this night might bring. Adrenaline was rushing through the head of Patrick P. Patriot. He felt kind of bad. This situation did not have to escalate that way. Unfortunately, kids and minorities these days were trained to disrespect authority and the law. Patrick P. Patriot knew that the left mainstream media would twist and turn the facts of this incident in favor of the criminal, because the criminal was black and he was a white Judeo-Christian conservative man. The lights in the surrounding buildings went on. The shots he fired woke up the entire neighborhood. Due to those lights, he could finally see the criminal's face. He was really very dark. Patrick P. Patriot could still see the last spasms of the black criminal's body until his life finally left him. Patrick P. Patriot said a Judeo-Christian prayer and hoped that the soul of this evil criminal would earn forgiveness and salvation from God. A few minutes later, the police arrived. He knew and was friends with all of them, except with Donnie D. Donkey, who was a libtard rat and probably was the one who leaked the footage that caused Patrick P. Patriot's cancellation. Luckily, his friends helped him to keep Donkey away from the criminal's body. It was good to have friends, loyal friends, true friends that stuck with you even in bad times. After the investigation of his friends concluded, they came to the conclusion that the criminal actually could have had a gun in his jacket and could have been reaching for it, which means that Patrick P. Patriot was absolutely justified in assuming that the dangerous criminal might have posed a threat to Patrick P. Patriot, and therefore he was absolutely justified in protecting himself. It was good having friends in influential positions. If the libtards ever got their will, they would have transformed the police into a soulless machinery that applied the law equally to everyone, without differentiating between good, righteous people and bad people. Having a chance to talk to people, becoming friends and making connections with authority figures, and solving problems in different ways was a good thing. That way you could always rely on the authorities to be there for you when you needed them. Patrick P. Patriot was feeling way better now, knowing that not only he felt justified to use lethal force against the criminal, but also that his police friends saw it the same way. After the report was quickly finished, Patrick P. Patriot moved on, walking through the night. He stumbled upon a kid with a hoodie that was spraying an American flag on a wall. But this was not an ordinary American flag. It was an abomination, because instead of the red and white stripes, the flag had the rainbow colors of the abominable gay flag and the pastel colors of the degenerate trans flag. Patrick P. Patriot could tolerate a lot of things. Kids disrespecting the elderly, kids disrespecting property, kids disrespecting authority, but the only thing he could not tolerate was when a kid was disrespecting the American flag. Patrick P. Patriot immediately drew his gun and shouted, "You are under arrest!" The kid ran away and Patrick P. Patriot unloaded his third magazine. Unfortunately, the criminal kid escaped unharmed and was therefore still capable of committing further crimes. He walked on. Dawn was almost breaking. In a barely lit corner, he saw a lesbian couple kissing on the street. He would not have cared about it if this had happened in closed doors. But this was a public space, where even children might have seen this. Even if behavior of such kind was technically legal under the state's law, it was not legal under the eyes of God. Patrick P. Patriot could tolerate a lot of things, but he could not tolerate this affront to God. he had to close in and solve this situation. After the gay situation was cleared and his police friends finished the second police report, Patrick P. Patriot thought it had been a good night. But one man can only do so much. He was still upset about the criminal kid that escaped justice and could now still be committing crimes. If he had support, maybe that criminal kid would not have escaped. Patrick P. Patriot made a decision. Even though he was already very big, he needed to grow. Not in size, but in numbers. End of chapter 1. Whew, wow, that was great. That was really fantastic. Oh my god, I love it. I love this so much. It just shows you that everyone can be a hero. If everyone just does their own part, we could all make the world a better place. And I think the best thing about this story is this theme that if we all would be more like Patrick P. Patriot, we wouldn't need a government anymore. I mean, we don't need a government anyway, but like if we all would uphold Judeo-Christian values like Patrick P. Patriot does, the world would be paradise. That's the bottom line. No, the world would be paradise. So that was the first chapter. I hope you liked it. Maybe I'm gonna read another chapter. Thus far, I think this is a fantastic book. When it comes out, please get it immediately. I don't know when it will come out, but just keep up to date. It's called Triumph of the Patriot by Ben Shapiro. Thanks for listening. Have a nice day, evening. Goodbye. For what? The black voice asked. His third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Oh yeah. His third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Due to those lights, he could finally see the criminal's face. He was He was really very dark. A few minutes later, the police arrived. He knew and was friends with all of them, except with... Which means that Patrick P. Patriot was absolutely justified in assuming that the dangerous criminal might have posed a threat to Patrick P. Patriot, and therefore... Which means that Patrick P... It was good having friends in influential positions who supported you. It was good having friends in influential positions. If the lip-tubs... It was good having friends in...